This is Mark and Charity's Coffee Podcast.
Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast. A lucky Friday the 13th. Oh my gosh, it's hot. No complaints, though. No complaints.
That's not a complaint. It's just an observation. It is very warm.
I went golfing yesterday, teed off at 1:45. Walked at my advanced age. And literally by the 12th hole, for the first time in my life, I said, I think I'm done. I think I'm done. I have yet to shed 2 years of pandemic lethargy, that lethargic feeling.
Well, and for that reason, cut yourself some slack. And
Maybe.
Yesterday was incredibly
It was hot.
And we all have to climatize to it because it kind of came on. I know we're ready for it, and I'm not complaining by any means. But it's been exceptionally warm this week. I wouldn't even say it's been gradual. It's kind of been here.
Yeah.
And it has been, yesterday was warmer than Wednesday, but we all have to acclimatize to it again. We all have to get used to this heat because it was hot. It was hot.
And you and I are both red.
Yes, my shoulders. I forgot. And of course, with it being May, maybe not even May, but the first real nice chunk of weather we've had, you always forget this. You forget the sunscreen.
And you're very fair.
I am very fair. And so are my children.
Burn, yeah.
And they came home glowing yesterday.
Yes.
So it's that moment of, I am the worst mother in the world. So that was left out, and I will definitely wear it now. It's funny because I didn't notice it on you so much, and I not to dismiss that you were out in the sun yesterday by any means, but I'm like, my shoulders are pink. He doesn't even look like his color. And then we stepped out of the studio, and I saw you in the kitchen.
In natural light?
Yeah, the lighting in here must be different because when we stepped out there, I'm like, whoa. Yeah. You got some sun yesterday. I see it now.
Almost died.
You keep saying that. I don't think you did.
No, I felt so old.
And when you get that heat
I know.
at night,
Yeah.
I still had it this morning driving in.
Did
you just feel hot.
I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed pretending like I could because I go to bed super early for most people. It's like I'm in bed by 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because the alarm goes off at 3:30. And I said, that's it. And I went and I slept downstairs. And even then, better, but not still enough.
Comfortable.
Because I was on fire from all that heat, not enough water. My legs were cramping. It was crazy.
Thing. You got to remember the water. Hydration is key. And then you and I started sharing our heat stroke stories, which we laugh about now, but it is quite serious.
Yeah, you get heat stroke.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I've had it, and it is
your life.
You feel like you're dying. It is, and it's very scary.
Yep,
very scary. So I feel for those who have to work, as we do every year. We talk about that, but road crews and construction workers. And
roofers.
Exactly.
You're up there.
It's great being outdoors, but in that heat, it can be a little extreme.
Hydrate and enjoy the weekend here in the Quinte region as we get ready for the Victoria Day weekend next week. Toronto Maple Leafs lost last night. It could have been an elimination game. They could have won the first playoff series since 2004.
As we're talking about this heat, NHL playoffs continue.
Yes.
They're still
not
hockey.
even out of the first round yet. And already it's so hot. Dave Allen, the executive director of the Eastern Ontario YMCA, the CEO, is one of the most outspoken Leaf fans that we know. So we wanted to make sure he was okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is it, Dave? Is it a good morning?
You know what? It is a good morning.
Attaboy.
Well, and I wondered that. Is this them, the Leafs, of course, losing last night? Is that not better because now they come home for Game 7?
You know, my biggest fear is they always tanked and they just folded like a cheap suit.
Yep.
And we have not seen that in this entire series. And that's why I think they're a better team. And, you know, you play all season to get home ice advantage, and now they've got it. This is a far different team. They've had a couple of, Game 5 was a character win. And coming back last night showed a lot of character. Where before, as soon as they went down 2-0, you thought that this is over.
That'd be done. Right.
Yeah. So I'm not, am I concerned? Well, I'd be crazy not to be.
Right.
But, I think, and they're playing against the Stanley Cup champions.
Right.
Yeah.
2-time
Yeah.
Stanley. You want to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Absolutely. So I like what I've seen so far.
Okay, so what do the next 48 hours look like for Dave Allen, the Maple Leaf fan?
Well, I will. I'm sure I'll be taking a lot of jabs on Facebook from people and getting a lot of evil texts that I won't reply to.
Right, exactly.
Just ignore.
I'm a bigger man than that.
Yeah, we know you. That's why we called you. We can call them. Now, Dave Allen, CEO of Eastern Ontario Family YMCA on the show, the most outspoken Leaf fan that I know. And what is your game time superstition?
Well, always an hour before. Well, okay, this is really sad. I actually take a nap.
Well, you need to get ready. You need to be prepared.
I do.
Yeah.
I do, because I know the excitement level is going to just rise and my blood pressure is going to go up. And so I got to get a game time nap in. And then, of course, I have my snacks ready. Mm-hmm. I have my little. I do have a little cooler downstairs with my cans of Coke Zero in it,
right?
So that I don't have to get up and go upstairs.
Don't want to do that.
The odd time I do, between periods, I go to the bathroom. But and so everything is set up. Everyone knows in the house. There's no discussion going to happen,
right?
If you want to cruise down into the basement, say hello, look at the score, turn around, and go back upstairs.
They're allowed to do that. Wow.
Now, what is the snack of choice, Dave, that you enjoy during the hockey game?
Well, last night I had Doritos. I like my Doritos, but normally I like chicken wings.
Before we let you go, Dave, speaking of building, what's going on with the Y? How's that going?
It's going really well. We've got we have a campaign cabinet in place, and they're already out raising money. We have identified. We're just in the midst of reviewing the contract for task force engineering to do the build, and then 18 months later be able to open the building. So hopefully by fall of 2024, we'll be turning the key. So it's going really well. We have an excellent campaign group led by Ed Leighton and Kristen Crow. So it's moving.
All right. Well, good luck. Good luck, and go Leafs go. Have a great weekend.
Good luck tomorrow.
Good luck.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Your husband doesn't necessarily have any game time varies, so he's mature about it.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
For my husband, he keeps his cards very close.
Okay, right.
So I'm sure there are things he does. He doesn't necessarily feel like sharing them because I think that in itself
is a superstition.
Yeah. So he has his routine and he has his steps, we'll say, that he takes before he watches the game. I just see him watching the game. He's focused. And as Dave said, we don't talk. Once the game's on, we don't talk. The kids will try and he will ignore us. He tunes us out. So I've learned not to be offended by that. So he's focused on, and I don't blame him right now because this is pretty exciting. And
big time. Yeah.
Game 7's going to be like your daughter's in Toronto. And I just think it's going to be nuts in downtown Toronto.
And if
over the weekend.
If after dispatching of Tampa Bay, they were to move on to and then win the next series and go on to the Eastern Conference Final.
Can you even imagine?
The Final Four with the Stanley Cup within sight, it'll be electric in Toronto. But
if we get that far.
That's right. So tomorrow night,
fingers crossed.
Big game. And then the real pinnacle piece of the show this morning was Karen White. She's
Relay
so
for Life
great.
is back.
Relay for Life. So good. One of the big events, first time I heard about it was about 20 years. And it was to be a signature event that was going to bring people together to walk around the track in groups of teams to raise money for the Canadian Cancer Society. There was one here in Belleville. There was one in Picton,
Brighton, Quinte West.
Yeah. And there would be high schools that take part, and it really kind of grew. And then the pandemic came by and ruined it. And they became virtual, and then, like everything else, it sort of falls by the wayside. So it needs people like Karen White to pick it up now and say it is coming back. And so we called her to get all the details and how you can get your donations filtered to them and get those teams to lace up the shoes and get on the track. We are so happy to hear that Relay for Life is back because I've been around these parts long enough to remember night number 1 at Loyalist College.
And how wet did you get?
Pretty wet and not a lot of sleep. And then we did it at the base and it rained even more. How many of those have you been a part of?
I've probably been involved since 2004. 3.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
My husband died of cancer in 2002, and I started delivering daffodils that spring, and next thing I knew, I was president of the volunteers and chair of the Relay for Life.
Yeah,
So,
that's what happens when you miss a meeting. You gotta go to all of them. But thank goodness you're doing it. How much of a labor of love has it been to get it back up and going after the pandemic?
Well, it's been 2 years of virtual relays that were fabulous. We had a great time doing it, but there's nothing like being back in the community. We have an amazing organizing committee that I am part of, and we are excited. We've got all kinds of entertainment and activities and theme labs. The term participant of hope is relatively new. That refers to our survivors. So, of course, the whole event starts off with the survivor lap, the participants of hope walking the lap, reminding us of why we're there. And then, of course, in the evening, the luminary ceremony will take place. Again, one of the most moving parts of the event. The actual theme this year is called Move and Be Moved.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more moving than the participant of hope lap that starts it off and the luminary ceremony towards the end of the evening.
There really isn't. It's incredible.
This is Karen White, organizer of the Relay for Life. It's coming up on June the 11th.
Back at Loyalist College.
Yeah, how can we get like the luminaries? How can we purchase them? How can we get more info on teams and make sure we get our money to you?
Thank you for asking that. Our goal this year is $30,000, and we are very appreciative of our sponsors. We have our Participant of Hope sponsor is Belleville Toyota. Our luminary sponsors are the Rotary Clubs of Brighton and Sterling. We've also been sponsored by the Brighton Legion and the Lehigh Hansen Group out of Picton. So sponsorship plays a big part of it. The luminaries will be available for purchase at the event. One of the complicating factors is because we no longer have an office in Belleville, we are working with an amazing staff out of Toronto, but it's all virtual support at that point. So we may not have our luminaries available for purchase until actually the day of the event because things have to be trucked back. However, I will say we are having a meeting on May the 18th. And that's at Centennial High School, Secondary School on Palmer Road. It's at 6:30. We are inviting all of our team captains to come. We're inviting anybody from high schools that would like to represent their schools and perhaps put on in a team. Right now, the best way people can support us is by registering a team. We're looking for anybody in the community that wants to come and learn more about it. And hopefully, by then, some of the luminary bags will have been delivered to us and we can start selling them at that point on May 18th. But basically, luminaries will likely be available at the day of event at Loyalist College between 2 and 11.
Now, do they have to attend on the 18th to register, Karen, or can they do that online?
Yep, they can register online. They would go to relayforlife.ca /Bay of Quinte Relay for Life, or they could just go to relayforlife.ca and put in their postal code, and then, of course, our event would come up as the event closest to them. So the best way to register is through relayforlife.ca, and we really do need teams to register at this point.
And we got to blow that $30,000 out of the water.
Absolutely.
This used to be six figures.
Yeah.
When you would combine the four of them. Yeah. Well,
we would love to.
Let's get the word out on that, because as we get back into it, this is one of those major important events in June that we need to get back to, not only because of the money it raises, but the great fellowship in the community. It is an event that you remember when you're there. It is a huge night. And Karen, thanks everything that you're doing to get that, to make it happen. And good luck on June 11th. And again, everybody get to that meeting at Centennial High next Wednesday on May the 18th.
Thank you so much for your support. You guys have always been very supportive of us. I remember you being there, Mark, many a night.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, because it's usually because I was horsing around.
Well, and that's why I noticed you. Of course.
Well, yeah, that's he's hard to forget, isn't he, Karen?
Yes, again.
I'll just finish up by saying my team is called P.S. I Love You, and it is in memory of my husband, Paul, my brother, Steve, so that's the P and the S, P.S. I Love You, and that's the message we need to get out, is that we love our participants of Hope. We need to support them. We need to support the Canadian Cancer Society. And with this opportunity for promotion, I'm hoping that will pull the trigger and get us all back to the event with more teams and more fundraising opportunities.
For sure. Move and be moved. The Relay for Life is back June 11th. Let's get out there and support the Canadian Cancer Society. Thanks so much, Karen.
Thank you very much.
So thank Karen for everything she is doing. Oh my gosh.
And as she said, if you have never seen that walk of hope, as she said, or Survivor's Walk, as what was formerly called their Survivor's Walk, as well as the luminaries. We did one after my grandmother passed away, a Relay for Life in Campbellford, and that year especially was quite poignant because we had a luminary, because we had that connection. Yeah. But just to witness it and you can't not cry. Like you really can't. It's such an amazing feeling to see these people of hope and to remember these loved ones who aren't there. And it's
First time I saw
quite
the
an
luminaries,
event.
I think it was about 11 o'clock at night. Of course, it's dark because that's what they want. So I think it was 11 o'clock they did it. I think the Relay for Life started at 7. I think it went 7 to 7. But that one would go on because the idea was we're going to start in the daylight and then you go through the darkness of the cancer treatment.
Yes.
And it ends with the breaking of the dawn. That was the whole idea.
It was very symbolic, yes.
And then the luminaries would be about 11. And I had done one for a friend of mine who had passed away just months earlier from cancer. And I couldn't find which bag was his. Because there were so many.
Yeah.
I think, okay, there'll be like 30 of them. There were hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And so that's great. So you got to find a way to get a luminary bag.
And all the communities have come together. Picton, Brighton, Quinte West, and Belleville. They've all come together to have the Bay of Quinte Relay for Life. So I would think 30,000, as you said this morning, very conservative.
Yeah,
they can reach that. They can do more than that for
please,
sure.
Let's get that number up there. That's great. So, Karen, thank you so much. And more about that as we get that meeting coming up next week. Also, I'll have your Monday Morning Mystery Year on Monday, and we are getting ready for the Victoria Day long weekend.
Oh, are we ever?
Next weekend.
The countdown has begun.
It has. I've got my clothes laid out.
I know. I know you do.
Have a great weekend. It's Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast. Wherever you get your favorite podcasts, based on the morning show on 95.5 Hits FM here in Belleville. Great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday.